Well, let's go to the
Like a
team. The
strong
five
team.
changes, right? So we have Furlong's back in, even though the difficulties last week. Tag Byrne, Van der Fleer gets a shot. Gibson Park, then the fly half. Jack Crowley, it's now his chance. Sam Prendergast out of the 23 totally. Kieran Frolley hasn't played much rugby for Ireland recently, comes in the 22 jersey. What do you make of it all with the fly half? We can't not talk about it all. Like, is it the right time now to get Sam maybe back playing for Leinster? Or are we saying, no, he's still very much in the picture and he could be thereabouts next week as well, or the week after the following week? Or do you think with all the pressure, as the old keyboard warriors, as Andy Farrell said, is it now actually I'm ready to take a break from this and I'll be good enough and talented enough to come back?
Yeah, I think that's the latter part of what you said. He's a very, very talented player. He's shown moments when, for any out half, they need their forward pack getting the edge on the opposition and creating that platform. That hasn't helped that situation, that Ireland haven't been able to dominate the opposition forward packs like they had been doing. You think back to Murrayfield last year when, we say it every year, every second year when Ireland go to Murrayfield against Scotland, is this the year Ireland have won so many games against Scotland now. Scotland can produce brilliant performances, and is this the year? But he went there last year. Ireland were brilliant in that first half, and Sam Prendergast was player of the match. Front foot stuff, less pressure, more control from his teammates, dominance going forward in the carry, strong set piece, and he excelled. So he hasn't just become this not non-talented player, but he's playing in a team that probably needs a little bit more nous.
They aren't helping him, is what you're saying.
No, well, because if you have an out half that look, he has defensively is the weak part of his game, and if you're under pressure in your overall team that the opposition are going to have a lot of possession. France had 60-70% possession for most of the game, so they're going to run at you. They're going to be challenging you more and more. You're working off slow ball. You're going to have that line speed coming at you. So a lot of stuff has changed with the pressure they're under, and I just think that because of the physical side of, which isn't the strongest part, which can be developed around strength and power and technique and working on it. You think you can't just dismiss this guy because he's a very talented player, but he probably had his worst outing last week, and it's
and that's not even talking about defense last week, actually.
Yeah, I think confidence is way down. I think he is now dealing with and I listened to Johnny Sexton speak about it during the week. Making good decisions under pressure is always what a fly half's job. But when you go to international level, the pressure you're under, the scrutiny you're under, the speed of how you have to do things, it just increases to a different level. Is he 13 or 14 caps now for Ireland? He came in playing for Ireland last November, 12 months on the back of 6 or 7 involvements with Leinster. The other side of this is here. Andy Farrell is kind of taking a bit of flack since November, and probably a little bit in this Six Nations about, well, where are the young fellas? Why don't you pick young players? So he brings a young fella in here who's 21 at the time and gives him his shot. And he jumped a little bit forward and back and forward and back. Himself and Jack Crowley hasn't been ideal for either player. No. It hasn't.
Why do you feel he has more scrutiny to take than Jack? Would that be fair?
Because I think the way he was portrayed in the media, and because of just general excitement, it's a natural human response, Stuart, when you hear, God, this player has come on board and he's just so talented. His hands are special, and he's just can read the game so well, and he played really well for Leinster as well. He came off the back of that November last 12 months and played really well for Leinster. So, you go to the Northampton game in the Heineken Cup semi-final where he missed a couple of tackles. Pollock runs past him. People are highlighting this stuff. It's very unfair. He's still a young kid, unbelievably talented. So the foundations are there, but I think he just needs a break. I think there's so much pressure, and maybe he can't handle that now, and he just. It wasn't even the defense last week. It was just different decisions. He's kicking inaccuracies. There was a bit of panic, no attacking threat himself on the line, and I think it because it's such a pivotal position, it affects the whole team when you're in. And again, I was really intrigued listening to Johnny Sexton about Jack Crowley came on and he found space and there was space there to be exploited. And you may only get one chance in that kind of number of phases because the opposition shore up that space or they get a defender to fill the gap. And he was speaking about how Jack Crowley found that space in a number of times. Like the Balakoon try was an outstanding try. I know you have an NFL pass from Stuart McCloskey to finish it, but a lot of what was happening before that was excellent. A lot of good lines of running. And it's always easier to come on. Well, I know some people say, I hate being a sub and I'd rather start the game.
Jack touched on that in his post-match interview. He never said it was easier, but he said you can read it from the bench. Yeah, and it suited him, and it obviously did because he played well.
Yeah, you can see certain things and opportunities, and also particularly when the team is not clicking the way you would like. I think there's some opportunities there. So I thought Kieran Frolley, if you asked me to start of the week who'll come onto the bench, and I thought Frolley, he's the one man who fills that utility role brilliantly, and he's a great rugby player. And there's some would argue that he should be in the mix for the starting berth at fly half as well. But he can play in a number of positions. But look, it's a disappointing one for Sam Prendergast. But I do feel the less getting away from this pressure and the scrutiny for a while is no harm for him. And he may go back to Leinster. He may not start for Leinster. He just absolutely we cannot discard the talent, the quality, and the ability that he has, because but we've seen it before with fly halves. Mathieu Jalabert at times, in and out of the French team. Now he's excelling. So we will see Sam Prendergast, please God, back again. But yeah, it's a tough call for Andy Farrell to make because they put a lot of faith in him and it hasn't worked out the way they wanted. On a consistent basis, we've seen absolutely some quality for him throughout a lot of matches he's played. But I think that consistency just completely broke down last week.